welcome back to my channel. As you can see, I have somebody new. Well, yeah, new. I don't know if you've ever been on my channel before. You might have with your
I
mom.
think we've been on Nancy Jean's
Yep.
channel together maybe
Yeah, maybe
once.
once a while back when we were talking about politics.
Right.
Anyhow, this is Sean. He has started a new YouTube channel. He does political. He's going to explain the whole dynamics of what just happened with Biden stepping down, and Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris stepping up. He's going to explain all of that. But in the meantime, uh, I watched Linda G just hype you up. So go ahead and explain how she found you, and then go into how people can find you on your YouTube channel.
So my YouTube channel is C as in cat LSB politics. You just search that and it'll pop right up. Linda G saw me on another channel and and it was and the it was a live show. So we were getting some really interesting questions in and
Whose channel were
um
you on? You were on
oh my God. My
okay, due to magic, we're coming back to you were on Andre the
Andres.
astrologer's
Mhm. Yep.
channel, and that's where Linda G found you.
Mhm. And I'll be honest, I'd never seen any of Linda G's YouTube channels. It's not kind of the world that I operate in. Um, and so yeah, no, it was she really, I guess, liked my approach on how I kind of explained, this really weird world of politics. And I'm kind of a math guy by nature. I do data mostly. Um, but there's a lot of personality, there's a lot of sales, there's a lot of marketing, there's a lot of stuff going on.
Right.
And so my background is I've been doing this for 20 over 25 years. I started in the 19 late 90s. So and on my team, the next most experienced person I think started it in 2000. So, but all of us on my team, we all say we come from the mud. That is to say, we were all canvassers at one point in time. We all have gotten. I have knocked on hundreds of thousands of doors. I don't even know how many. I
Right.
truly do not know. Um, I've if I didn't write down every campaign I've worked on, I would never be able to remember them all. It's over 200. It's just not a thing, and
Fantastic.
some of them were grouped together. Um, so it wasn't like, I mean, there'd just be no way. So,
Well, so you we were talking prior to getting back on here. We were talking about like all the conspiracy theories and all of the crap that kind of swirls around and what we do in politics and stuff like that. And you were like, not thinking much of that is really happening. And you have also
it's
met Joe Biden.
oh yeah, no, I've met Joe Biden a few times. Really super nice. It's like um President Biden is actually just a really, really nice person. He's he's your cool uncle. That's the vibe I got off of him. Um, I mean, I was a baby political dude when I met him. That was when I first met him was 2000 November 2005. Was when I first met him. And he was speaking in Dallas with Harry Reid, who was a senator now retired. Um, and then this like guy who literally been in office like a few months named Barack Obama. And nobody had heard of this guy.
Right.
Um, but what's interesting about that is in 2004 when my dad was he 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 raised me and he was very much like we watched the Democratic convention together. Even as a kid, I watched that stuff. So we as an adult when my dad was sick, I was staying we were staying together because he gotten old and he needed help. And we were watching the convention and we watched Barack Obama's speech in the '04 convention. And he looked at me, he's like, that guy's going to be president. I looked at him, I was like, I'm going to go work for that guy. And 2008 rolled around and I ended up working with him. I met Obama. I met Michelle more times than I've met Obama, actually. Michelle's an absolute, just incredible woman. I mean, she'd come to Dallas quite often and talk to like girl schools or girl, little girls and like middle school kind of level. And
Very
talk to them
cool.
about what you can be, and just seeing their faces, it was just amazing. They're an amazing couple. And um and Michelle, so because I'm 6'1", Michelle's not short at all. Well, when you take the big group photos, right, of all the volunteers and everyone that's at the thing, well, it's tall people in back. So there's about 4 or 5 group photos floating around out there. I don't even have one of them of me and Michelle standing next to each other in the back of the group because all the other women are just like 5'1", maybe.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Wow.
but like that campaign was 18 months long, that '08 campaign. That never, I mean, we were all crying when he won because, well, for a couple of reasons, he won, which was like this huge historical thing, and the fact that someone's been working on it for 18 months. We're just happy it was over.
I bet.
Some of us hadn't slept in a few days, so we
I
were
bet.
pretty tired.
I was living in Maryland at the time. I so regret not just being 45 minutes away and not going to his inauguration.
Oh,
I just it just wasn't in the cards for me to go and do that. But I wish I would have been, but I was so close
yeah.
when he won.
No, so well, what was interesting about the November 2005 was in Dallas. We had to get the thing together in 21 days, which was from 0 to 21 with no staff, no nothing, just start. Um, we had about 5,000 people come. When Obama spoke, you could have dropped a pen and you would have heard it. It was so quiet. Like everyone was, because you understand, like this is still like during the Bush administration.
Yeah.
We're in Iraq. I have friends over there at that point. Um, it was rough.
Wow.
And just having that voice for the first time was really a remarkable thing. And also just, there's certain people when they walk into a room, just kind of all the heads turn. And I read a lot of, biographies about presidents and stuff. Apparently Lincoln, because he was so tall, when he walked into a room, all the eyes turned. You know, Bill Clinton, same thing. That guy walked into a room, the energy off of him was just like he was in the room. Obama was the same thing. He
Wow.
had that kind of energy where when he walked in the room, all conversations stopped. And this was when he was a senator. This was in '05. This was not even, he was literally a senator for a minute at that point. And so it was an interesting time to be doing this kind of work. And and because I'd been doing it for about 10 years at that point, I had the presence of mind to appreciate it and to write it. I wrote down everything. I have a 41-page after action report just from Obama Dallas, just because I didn't want to forget what we actually did, you know? And because memories fade, and
Yeah.
also there's a lot of people out there that take credit for a lot of things that they didn't do. Um,
Well, I wonder who does that, Mr. Orange Cheeto.
yeah, it's a Cheeto. Well, I mean, he takes credit for stuff that, or he gives credit to random people and he doesn't know what's going on. All right,
He
let's be
doesn't. If there's anybody too old to be running for president, it'd be him. However, let's get into the meat and potatoes of the
sure.
video. So you're going to kind of walk us through the situation that we have with Biden stepping back, not running rerun. He's not stepping down from presidency. He only
No.
stepped away from his campaign.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
No, he's
then the
still
dynamics of that, and then any variables that could happen,
okay.
what could happen. So go for it.
So, yes, Biden's still president. He will complete his term in office uh, until January 20th. So he's got another 6 months. Um, so he's not going anywhere, and he's still president. He's still doing the job, and I'll bet money that he'll enjoy the next 6 months way more than he's enjoyed the last six. Because because running for office is, and at that level is just, it's ridiculous. I mean, being president, I mean, go look at a picture of anyone who walks into the office and then what they look like when they walked out.
Obama
Like,
is a great example of that.
great example. Honestly, he looks younger now than
Yeah.
he did when he walked out of that office.
Yep. Great example of that.
Yeah. Because it just, it's your your worst day is the world's worst day.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, no other job is like that. Like,
I hope Biden just kind of slides, just kind of just relaxes and just kind of glides on through and just kind of, just takes it back and all of that weight
well,
off
I
of the
think he's now, he can now take care of the things he wants to do.
Yeah,
And I mean, the guy's already done so much as president. He's done more in 3.5 years than most presidents were able to do in 8.
correct.
And uh, so it's like, I mean, there's like 1,000 things. The biggest one, in my opinion, the one that will 20 years from now, we will still be getting all the good stuff out of, is that huge infrastructure package
Yeah,
that he got passed.
agreed.
We haven't invested that amount of money in infrastructure since the 50s. Um,
Wow.
like
We've
since
been
we built
driving.
the interstate. I mean, and by the way, the interstate was a huge amount of money. It's
Yeah,
also paid for itself 1,000 times over.
true.
If you look at commerce, transportation, quality of life, a European uh, came to America and traveled through America and found out why Americans don't travel,
Right.
because we have every possible kind of wherever you want to go in the world is in America. You want mountains? We got it. You got canyons, we got
Yeah,
beaches, we got big giant forests, we've got plains, we've got swamps, we got everything. And there's very few countries that can honestly say they've got every kind of anything. So with that interstate, you're able to go anywhere you want. And but the infrastructure that he's putting in is power. Uh, his CHIPS Act is going to be enormous. There's been more manufacturing brought back to the United States than, I mean, since the Industrial Revolution. And
great.
people don't realize that.
So
Um,
he has now stepped back from his campaign.
right.
So, and then he has now endorsed Kamala Harris. So how
Oh
does
yeah.
the logistics of the
Okay.
money, the ticket, all of that work?
So because it was the Biden Harris committee to elect, right? That's how, so this is going to get a little bit Federal Election Commission FEC, but um so when you're raising money, you're telling people this money is for this ticket. Now, there are rules and things where as long as that one of those people were on that ticket, and like, so let's say Biden, God forbid, got really sick and had to like really,
Don't say that
leave.
out loud.
Yeah, I know. But let's say something like, or Harris got hit by a meteorite. I mean, just
Yeah, yeah,
whatever
yeah.
random nonsense could possibly happen. Well, the ticket would still be sound because one of the other people is still on it.
Okay.
So all that money stays in that. So if they have to pull in another, like she's going to pick a VP, and we've
So
got like, I
that's
think,
a question that I have too. So does she have to recertify herself in each one of the states like Biden had to certify?
no, because she's on. So all
She
that
was
happens
already
on
certified.
August 7th. All
So
that
what
happens on
happens when
August
she
7th.
picks her VP? Did they have to recertify him
Mm-mm.
or her?
No, I mean, right now they're probably looking at their short list and doing a huge background check. But you gotta understand, if they're pulling,
I mean, in each state, you know how they
no, no,
Ohio
no,
wasn't
because it's a party's primary.
okay.
I believe, and I'm sure a million people will post if I'm wrong, but I believe it's August 7th is the cutoff. So they don't have a lot of time,
Yeah.
but there's plenty. And once, and the thing is, right now, because because the party structure is based on delegates, and we got rid of, or we seriously handicapped that thing that used to be called super delegates. Now it's kind of like, how many elected officials per state is how many delegates they get, and there's no real, special former, Congress people are no longer considered super delegates anymore and can override other delegates or any of that nonsense. They got rid of a lot of that, which is great. Um, so really, so like California, because there's so many more Democratic elected officials in that state, because not only is it the, population wise, the largest state, it's also a blue state. So then after California would be New York, also a huge population, which means we're going to have a lot of congressmen and women, and it's going to have a large delegation, right?
I know she's
Of,
got plenty of delegates now. She has
oh
enough.
no, she's got all she needs
She's
right
got
now.
all she needs.
Yeah, she's
So
got all
now,
she's got
so
all of them
now the process now. So Biden steps down from the
from
campaign.
the campaign.
Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris, has now stepped up as the candidate, as the presumptive candidate, right?
Yeah,
She has been
until
endorsed.
August 7th, and then she'll be well, right now she has all the delegates she
She has
needs.
all the delegates.
So
She has all the money,
mm, she
and
raised money.
raised some money, right? So
Three
everybody.
days, $100 million. That's insane. No
So
one's ever
that
done that
means
before.
no. And what they were talking about with all the donations, that they were small donations.
Under $300.
I got a map of where all the donations were coming in. And do you know, I saw Florida and Texas being some of the biggest donations
Huh?
for her campaign. Okay, so now we're set. Now I saw the paperwork done where the money is now transferred over to her, and she's able to tap into what they've been what they did have, and then now hers. So now she's on the process of picking a vice president.
Yeah.
So now she's done that. She's done that, and now explain the process of her picking her vice president, how the paperwork and how that works, and then going to the DNC and how we get her as our candidate.
So what will happen is her and her team will get together and they're already vetting. I mean, there's a long list of
I have 7 of
candidates.
them.
Yeah. And
I
the,
think they had 7 of them.
we've
Did you?
got a bunch of governors, a couple senators,
Yeah.
um, and they want to make sure that the tickets, that the VP, to be honest, not many vice presidential candidates bring a whole lot to the ticket. There, you don't walk into the booth going, "I'm voting for vice president." You walk in the booth saying, "I'm voting for president." Um, but that being said, um, on occasion, uh, a vice president can help stabilize a ticket to make it, a little less radical, maybe. That happened in 08 with Obama. That's how we got Biden as vice president. And honestly, they already got along. They were already friends. That helped a lot.
Mhm.
Like I said, I met them both in 05 when they were traveling around, uh, picking money up from donors, actually, because there's some interesting laws regarding and they were actually out there for the DSCC, which is the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee, and they would fly in, pick up the money from the donors, and then fly out. And because they would do those big giant big dollar dinners and stuff like that. They spoke at Lee Park, which is no longer Lee Park, over uh, in Dallas, in 05, as a fundraiser for local candidates. And we actually set up a whole area where judges could get signatures to get on the ballot.
Fantastic.
And some of those judges got all the signatures they needed. So anyway, getting back to so you have a vice president can sometimes stabilize a ticket.
So
The
I have. Do you want me to read off the list of the?
Sure.
Okay, there's 7. She had online. They said 7 options. One is Josh Shapiro of
Mhm.
Pennsylvania, Mark Kelly, a senator from Arizona, I think.
Yep.
Um, then we have North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper, uh, Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. I don't know. I don't think I've ever heard of him. Illinois Governor Pritzker or Pritzel. How do you say his name?
You know what? I'm not exactly
I don't know.
Pritzker, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, somebody will know. I know I saw
Right.
how it'll be wrong. And then of course the governor of Gretchen Whitmore.
Whitmore. Yeah.
So we
I
have
mean,
those seven.
so one of the things they also look at is if I pull this person in as vice president, of course they have to leave whatever seat they're currently in.
Right.
And so
Is it secure?
yeah, is their replacement going to be a Democrat? We
Yeah,
don't want to move and shuffle things around and end up losing seats
sure.
because, you know, so for example, Mark Kelly's an easy one. In Arizona, the governor gets to pick the replacement if something happens to one of their senators. So, and that governor is currently a Democrat. So Kelly's an easy pick because Kelly could come as VP and then they'd find someone that
Yeah, that is a
probably
good point. That's a
is
good
a probably leader in their house or at the state level or congresswoman or congressman
yeah.
that already holding a federal office. So then they'll move it around down there. But since the governor's the one who gets to pick, kind of does a little bit of musical chairs. And I don't believe that seat's up for election for another 5 years, maybe
That is a
six.
good point.
So they're whoever gets put in that seat's gonna have plenty of time to establish themselves and you know and not
Yeah,
just have to run for office in 6 months.
yeah.
So that's why Kelly's a good pick. um I like him on the ticket. uh he's a veteran, he's an astronaut. I mean,
Well,
uh you
that is
can't, I
good.
mean, that's pretty good. It's like
Yeah, he's
staying
pretty
next to
safe.
JD Vance, he's gonna look awesome. So um
I
yeah,
put my
so
dog up against JD Vance, and my dog.
he had the worst rally the other day. Oh my God. I mean, it was just flump, flump, flump. Um, he did deliver the speech because you understand it's a different dynamic. When you're just one little congressman, of 300, and you're not really, you're in a big pool.
Yeah,
So there's only so much focused on you, you know. But when you get to that next level, which is where he's at now, it's a completely different game.
yeah,
And not everyone reacts well to it. They might be brilliant when all they have to do is make noise
yeah,
and generate noise. They're great at making noise. But you put them in a different place, well, now they actually have to say stuff.
yeah,
They have to connect with an audience. They're not introducing the guy who has to connect with the audience. So it's a different dynamic as a candidate to deal with. So, but yeah, those are really great. I like governors as vice presidents. They do very well. Um, they all of those governors are in important state. Like Pennsylvania is an incredibly important state. Um, I mean, just incredibly. And uh, I
but
mean,
you make
they're
a good point about Mark Kelly, though.
mhm.
He is
Yeah.
the absolute safest
I
seat
mean, okay,
when we're
so
fighting for seats.
another thing they do when they look at these on these seats, they also look at geography.
Hmm.
So normally you get a guy from the West Coast or a guy from the East Coast or someone from the Midwest.
Yeah,
So she's from California and they're all Western states. So
he
that
would
might
make
be
maybe Pennsylvania is what she's looking for.
Pennsylvania's Midwest, it's fine. Yeah, that would be like you just
Opposite.
don't want two in the West or two in the East or two in the Midwest. You want to break it up a little bit. So
Gotcha.
geography would probably be the one mark against Kelly that you kind of want to have somebody. You don't want to have two candidates from one part of the country. You
Right.
want you only have two, so you want them spread out a bit. Whereas in Kelly's case, it would all be west. So that's probably the only thing I can think of that would affect that at all.
Okay.
So
All right. So now we're up to all the money's gone to her. She has gotten enough
it's
delegates.
got all the
And
delegates.
now
Yeah.
she is heading to the DNC. So what happens between let's say she already picked her vice president. Now what are the logistics of when they get to the DNC?
So the convention's on the 19th
Right,
of
19th of
August.
August.
And so by the 7th of August, they have to have their decision made. And then that's what's going to be on the ballot for November.
So when all of this gets to there, so I get a little confused. Once they get to the DNC, how do the delegates have already chosen her?
So the delegates are, well, they chose that ticket. So Harris doesn't necessarily get all the delegates that Biden, had on lock.
Uh-huh.
But the people like Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and various different power members of the party control a lot of delegates
Okay.
underneath them. So like when Nancy Pelosi endorsed her, she threw all the delegates in California behind her, which
Okay.
literally gave her more than enough to get the nomination because she'd already picked up a bunch of others.
That's the reason
Um,
why it was so important. Everybody was just like Pelosi endorsed. Sometimes I just don't understand a lot of that. So now that makes a lot more sense. The reason why it was so important to announce that Pelosi endorsed her and Chuck Schumer endorsed
yeah, they need all the leadership from the party, um, so that they can, uh,
her. Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
basically it's a numbers game.
So
So
now her vice president, now they're walking into the DNC. What happens at the DNC?
so the Democratic National uh, Committee is it's an office, it's an administrative office for the party. So there's probably some paperwork and stuff that'll be filed. Um, but really, the DNC is it's really a PAC, a political action committee, right? Um, and what it does is it takes a lot of money in and it decides where it wants to spend that money and how, and for whom. So they'll look at, all the polling for all the congressional candidates. They'll look at purple states and they'll look at red states and blue states and who's not being able to raise enough money so that they can get their field program up and running. They'll figure that stuff out. The DNC can step in and bankroll large programs through the state Democratic Party. So the Texas Democratic Party, or let's just say like a large county like Harris or Dallas in Texas, they each have their own county parties, which are also political action committees. So it'd be one PAC giving money to another PAC to do operations, door knocking, phone calls, whatever. But when they do that, they don't coordinate directly with the like Colin Allred's campaign, but they will go out there and push all of the right buttons so that they turn out the vote for Colin Allred's campaign. You understand what I'm
Okay.
saying?
Yeah. So when they get to the DNC, we watch the RNC where they, their celebrity, their Lord and Savior, Trump came up, they did this and they did that.
You talked about his ear for 25
I
minutes.
know.
Did you
So
know
you,
that speech was only supposed to be 35 minutes long? He talked for 93 minutes. I melon scooped that part of my brain out after I watched
yeah,
that.
I
It's the
can't do
worst.
it. I can't do it. I can't.
It's
I
hard.
only did snippets. So when they get that, so at the RNC. So what happens is it's like a convention for us, right?
Yes. The
And if
National Convention, yeah,
well,
Democratic National
everybody there,
Convention.
does everybody that's there vote?
So each state has its own delegation, right? So it'll
And
be
so when
50
they
and
show up,
territories, huh?
they vote. Then when they show up,
Well, technically it's already been done.
okay,
They're
that's
there
what
to
I needed.
represent their state. And so, for example, like I said, California is the largest delegation in the DNC,
Uh-huh.
whereas Texas is the largest delegation in the RNC.
Okay,
Because we're just big states with lots of people. That means
right.
we're going to have lots of elected officials because congressional districts are, I think, based on around 750,000 uh, population. So when
Okay.
they gerrymander or whatever, that's why every 10 years, some states lose a congressman, some states get a congressman. That just means that their populations are moving around.
So
Um,
so that means that when they get to the RNC, so everything is there. Everybody's showing up. So they already know that Kamala Harris is the nominee.
Oh
by
yeah.
the time they get there.
Well, by the 7th of
All the delegates.
August, that's done. Yeah.
It's already done. Okay. So
So
then
what the whole purpose of the convention is, it's 3 or 4 days. I think it's 4 days, and their whole thing is party unity. There's not been a lot of party unity the last couple, years actually. Because what we have here is a generational shift.
mhm,
Um, Biden will be our last boomer president ever.
right.
Facts.
Yep.
Um, Kamala is going to be the first X-gen president.
Yep.
Kamala, she's going to be the first X-gen president
Thank
ever.
goodness.
And
We need to start younger. I mean, Biden
well,
has
we've
been
got
controversial.
amazing.
He's amazing. I'm not
Oh
denying
no, we love
him
Biden.
his credit. Yeah, Biden. However,
And
we do need to start younger.
well, I mean, and look what Biden did.
Yep.
You know, he was the vice president for the first African American
Yep.
president. He was president with the first female, never mind South Asian, never mind
Yes.
Jamaican, never mind African American president ever, vice
Yes.
president ever. He has literally ushered in this little old white guy from a really small state who used to ride the train every day.
Yeah.
Um, has done more to usher in the next generation of candidates
Right.
and electeds than probably. I mean, I cannot think of any other president.
I agree.
Um, uh, I mean, you can look at like certain presidents have certain impacts in their generation and on future generations. Like Kennedy had a huge impact in his generation. A lot of people decided to run for office because of Kennedy, you know? Um, uh, I think Obama had a huge impact
Yeah.
on candidates running. After '08, the number of young candidates, not that they all won, but the number of young candidates that stepped up uh, was amazing. I mean, I'd say the average age of one my clients probably dropped by 10, 15 years. Um, I think I think Biden's had that kind of impact. That's how I think you get the AOCs. You get these new young persons of color candidates that go in and say, si se puede, yes we can, and get it done. And that's happening because of the Bidens, because of the Obamas, and and I think that Biden stepping down, as painful as that was to watch, um, was amazing.
Yeah.
Like honestly, it's right up there with when George Washington said, no, I'm not running again.
Yeah.
Like he created the norm, the standard. Napoleon actually is quoted by saying that that was the most amazing thing he's ever seen. Any person in power, it was equivalent to a king stepping down and saying, I'm no longer king.
Yeah.
That at that point, that never happened. But George Washington, for one thing, did not like the trappings of the office, but also he knew that the only way this country was going to survive and do what it needed to do was to hand the power to the next person.
True.
So that way, they can keep going and keep new ideas coming in. And by Biden stepping down, and um, I think that was the equivalent. Can you think of any president, prime minister, dictator, leader of any country in this world
Well,
that
he
would have done
hasn't.
that?
No, he running again, and I always want to clarify he has not stepped down from his power because
No,
he
no. He
continue
stepped
out
down from running his for
to
a second
taking
term.
his power again.
Right, right.
That is hard.
Nobody.
That's probably hard for anybody to do when they have that much power. I get the
Yeah, people
absolute
are human. Yeah.
immense decision that he had to make in that hour. And of course, everybody's saying that they pushed him out, this, that, and the other. I don't think so. I just don't think so. I think he's like, I'm gonna make this decision, he'll let her do this, and I can just go retire. I mean, the man is 80.
He
Let
is he
him
is
retire.
He's
50
been in
years is enough.
service. He's been in service since I think he was 37.
Yeah, he's 50 years. That's 50 years. It's
The
enough.
only time he's taken off from public service is when his son died.
Yeah, it's enough. It
That's
is
enough. So
enough.
he's taken 4 years off in
Yeah.
the
So
since he was
he's
in the
put more
last
time in than
50.
anybody that's on the
Yeah.
ticket right now or anybody else that's in Congress right now.
Oh yeah. No,
So
yeah.
it's enough. So
He's
anyways, yeah.
he's
So
done
I
enough.
I don't I don't think I think this is the best thing for everybody. And the whole blue wave came for Kamala Harris. I mean the immense amount. So when we get to the DNC, they do the exact same thing that they did at the RNC, where they make Kamala our nominee, and then the vice president, and then she talks, and then he or she, whoever she picks,
So whoever the vice president will speak
talks.
the day before the
So
final day, which is when
so
Colin.
now the tickets, the ballots are gonna look all gonna be made after
Kamala,
that, right?
whoever, yeah, Harris, whatever, yeah,
And
whoever
they
the
don't have to certify. I'm not talking the campaign has to certify. I'm talking about the country has to certify the VP.
well, it's a party thing.
Uh-huh.
So our party certifies it, then that's it.
That's it.
That's it.
Okay. That's all I need to know.
Yeah.
So now let's think about other aspects. So what if something, God forbid, literally, or universe forbid, whatever you want to say, that something happens to Biden and he then steps down from the presidency? What happens if that ever happens?
Well, the vice president becomes president.
Uh-huh. And then who
I
comes and
mean,
becomes vice president?
that I believe goes to the speaker.
Yeah. So we don't want that.
Well, I don't want anything to happen to Biden ever. So,
No, but we don't want that. So that's the one thing that's the reason why the Republicans are wanting Biden to step all the
oh,
way
yeah, the
down.
Republicans can want whatever they want. This is what really freaked out the Republicans. Like I was saying before, nobody walks away from power.
Yeah,
Like that's not even a thought that would cross the GOP's little brain,
right.
that anyone would step down from 4 more years of power. So when they were calling for Biden, no, we need Biden's not can't do the job. Biden can't do this, but he's got to step down and blah blah blah. That was all just noise and nonsense.
Yep.
They were just that was just their talking point that they could get the media involved in because the media loves a burning truck, burning building, whatever. If you go watch the news, your local news, if there's a fire somewhere, they're going to film it because fires equal ratings.
Right.
Well, MSNBC, CNN, all those Fox and all those guys love themselves a burning building. They love controversy because it sells commercials.
Right.
And the GOP latched on to that and then and then there were a couple rumblings amongst the party. BT Dubs, I don't know if anyone remembers, but in 2010 they wanted to remove Obama and not have him run because they didn't think he could win against Mitt Romney.
Right.
And yeah, that was 2010. That was a conversation happening in 2010. Blows my mind. Yeah. So
Hang on just a second. Fantastic. I think we have covered a lot of information about the misconceptions that kind of go out there and what's going to happen and who did this and all that, because the Republicans are putting impeachment against a Kamala Harris, right? But they're also trying to go through the courts and sue them for something or other. What is that about?
so while they were calling for Biden to step down, the GOP was also working on litigation to keep whoever replaced Biden on the ticket off the ticket, off of the ballots statewide.
Right.
Because the Republicans cannot win the popular vote in this country. Can't. They haven't won the popular vote with a non-incumbent since Reagan, I think. Maybe Bush one did it. Can't remember if he got the popular vote. But and Lord knows his son didn't.
So they were thinking that Biden would not pick Kamala Harris?
No, they didn't care. There was always these back channels to litigate to keep whoever gets put on the
Uh-huh.
ballot off the ballot.
Right.
It's not about, see, their whole gig is to stack and pack the courts and get their way no matter what.
So that's what
And
I'm asking is they have this legal thing. That's where the jumbo comes up. How could they have kept Kamala Harris off the ballot?
they can't,
Why do they think that they can?
because they're idiots.
Well, yeah, we know that.
I
But
mean, I'm
why?
sorry. It's a party thing where the party says this is our candidate. This is where this is what's happening now. We don't care what the Republicans have to say about it. Why would we even care?
Okay.
It's not that we're not running in their party. They can run their party any way they want. They can run it right into the ground, which is exactly what they're doing.
Okay.
You know?
So that's the thing is they can't do a dang thing about who we put on our ballot.
No.
And is there
They can
any
try. They can
legal
make noise. They're really good at making noise. So that's about it.
because our candidate because we hadn't had our RNC, we
Yeah,
hadn't
they
picked come on, what's going on? Stop it.
is it me or you?
There it is.
Okay.
That's me. So we hadn't picked a nominee. So there's nothing that they could have done prior to that. Biden wasn't solidified. Now they're,
August 7th is actually the deadline.
so they got
That's
no.
it. They're just full of crap, is what they are. I mean, let's be clear.
I know.
Also, they don't have the best interests of the country in mind.
No.
They have only their special interests in mind.
Yes.
And that's just how the Republican Party operates. And they've been operating that way forever. I live in Texas, believe me. All the bad ideas you see out there in the rest of the country all came from here. Citizens United came from Texas. We have no campaign finance limits in this state. Our legislature is, you could drop $1 million legally on one state house rep. Totally legal.
Really?
They have to report it. But yeah. So what do you think that state house rep's going to do? Whatever that guy who gave him $1 million tells him to do. And that's Texas politics for you. So
Yeah,
yeah, all the bad ideas that are going out throughout the rest of this country all usually come from Texas.
of course they do.
Sadly.
Well, that's good. So that's a whole bunch of information there that just kind of smashes all of the rumors and the theories. And so then now they're trying to do impeachment for Kamala Harris. I know,
Sure.
I know.
Sure.
They're
Whatever.
just they're just throwing it out there, just making sure that all of their base is occupied with all of the crap,
Yeah.
keeping them occupied.
Yeah.
Because
No,
then what
they
they
their biggest fear is Kamala standing next to Trump in a debate.
do you think that's ever going to happen?
If I were Trump, I wouldn't debate her. He'll
No,
get
I wouldn't.
destroyed.
Yeah.
I mean, please do. I'm a little popcorn. I'll be eating it because, good luck.
Well,
I
the
mean, and
prosecutor,
all those people in that vice president list of 7 people, every single one of them would completely destroy JD Vance on any stage,
yeah,
anywhere.
yeah,
You know, um, uh, I mean, Mark Kelly flew on the shuttle right after the last shuttle that blew up.
wow,
I mean, cojones forever.
yep,
And how do you stand next to a guy who's a senator and an astronaut? His
yeah.
wife was gunned down.
Oh,
She lost staff. She's, had major trauma. He can talk about the gun issue and people will actually listen because he's lived the gun issue,
right,
you know? And I mean, and he's an astronaut.
right,
What?
incredible.
He's gone 17,800 miles per second. What have you done? You
What did you
know?
do today? All right. Well, thank you, Sean, so much. Let's do a little small recap on everything, and then we'll get out of here before because the video is too long.
Okay.
But do you have a recap on everything? Make sure everybody's gonna be okay with
Yes, everything's gonna be fine. Everyone needs to go out and knock on doors. You gotta make phone calls. You bring a friend to go vote.
Mhm.
Um, what my friends and I do is we all go vote because in Dallas you can vote if you do vote early. You can vote anywhere. There's a polling place. So what we'll do is we'll all go vote and have dinner. Make it a whole thing.
And you can always get involved in your local chapters.
Yeah,
Your
whatever your county party, or even if there's a state of party affiliate, absolutely. There's everyone's running.
Yep.
There's Google candidates in my area. Yeah, it'll be a big old list.
There's
Find one you like.
always
I
opportunity.
always tell people to stay in their precinct, knock on every door in their precinct. If we
Yeah.
all did that, there'd be no more Republican Party.
Yeah, that is the goal.
Yep,
All
absolutely.
right, everyone. Thank you. If you made
Thank
it
you
this
guys.
far, thank you so much.